Hello everyone, welcome to this best build guide for Cinderace. I am Jake, your resident content cowboy here.
Yeehaw!
In this guide, we're going to be going over the moveset for Cinderace, the best held items and battle items, as well as what I think the best overall build is for this character. We'll have gameplay footage from ranked matches so you can see how this stacks up against real players. And I'll say it up top, while I think Cinderace is maybe one of the least sexy Pokemon. Sexy? What do you mean by that? You're right, that sounds bad. I guess I meant it's one of the most basic Pokemon. All you're doing with this Pokemon is auto-attacking, but when you're doing it right, you are the strongest Pokemon in the game. Our little score bunny evolves into Raboot and then Cinderace at levels 5 and 7. Your first move choice is between Ember and Low Sweep at levels 1 and 3. Ember shoots out a small flame, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon, leaving them burned and decreasing their attack for a short time. Here you can see me casting Ember. It actually has an incredibly long range, and it is a sure hit attack. One of the nicest things about it is that it powers up your basic attack, like all of Scorbunny's abilities, or Cinderace by the time you get him there. More on that later. The only issue I find with this move at all is that it's not very powerful. It's nice, it'll help you poke the enemy down, and look at the range. You can see the smaller circle there is my regular attack range. The larger is the range of Ember. Next, we have Low Sweep. I personally take this first, unless maybe I'm in the jungle, but even then, having a dash early is great. It deals damage to the people you hit, and it powers up your basic attack, just like all of Cinderace's abilities. Here you can see me popping out of the jungle to use my Low Sweep. It gives a decent amount of dash range, and it helps you chase down people in the early game. At level 7, you get to choose between Pyro Ball and Blaze Kick. One of the toughest parts about playing Cinderace is the fact that it takes so long for his abilities to pop. At level 7 and 8 is when you actually get to upgrade things, so he can feel pretty weak for a while. Your first option, Pyro Ball, has you kick essentially just a larger Ember at the opponents, and you do a lot of damage with it. It's no longer a sure hit, though. You do have to aim it. You can see big damage coming off of this little Crawdaunt because of it. Take that, Crawdaunt. Boy, I hope your name's Crawdaunt. And you can see it also goes through obstacles, which is really nice. So you can use it to pick off people from far away. But like I said, with aiming it, if you miss, you miss. As you can see, all of these do not hit this Buffalon. Even these close ones. Look at how close that is, and it's still a miss. Your other option is Blaze Kick. You perform a fiery kick. It's always a crit. It shoves the Pokemon and it leaves them burned. I don't know if I mentioned it, but the last attack also left them burned. I like Blaze Kick a bit more than Pyro Ball, I would say. Also, when it upgrades, it increases your basic attack speed, so that's pretty huge. As Cinderace, you're getting almost all your mileage out of your basic attacks, so this really helps. As you can see, you can dash through obstacles with this, and this does bring you a little closer to the enemy Pokemon, which could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. If you really want to play Cinderace at range, this isn't the absolute best power, but I do think it's a very solid choice, and it helps you chase down Pokemon and secure those KOs. At level 8, you unlock your next ability choice. So again, in short order, you go from having very early abilities to being very, very powerful. Your choice is either Flame Charge or Faint. These are two very different options, and they're both actually really good for different reasons. So Flame Charge gives you a dash. You charge forward, cloaked in flame, you deal damage to anyone you hit. Also, once it's upgraded, you reduce the move speed of the Pokemon you hit with your next basic attack. So this is great for chasing people down, or even using it to get out of combat. Cinderace's other option is Faint, and I think Faint is so ridiculously good. Oh yeah, do you think it's really sexy? Yeah, you know what? I do. So what? So what that I said something was sexy earlier? Leave me alone, other me. This move gives you a brief frame of invincibility. It also increases movement speed. It feels like a must. It's just so good. I like your other option here, but this feels like it has saved me so many times. The ability to become invincible and save myself from a Gengar or a Zeraora jumping in on me, or especially avoiding more telegraph moves like something from Pikachu or Cramorant. It's just so useful in combat, especially when avoiding one big chunk of damage can be the difference between surviving a team fight or not. Also, when it upgrades at level 13, it gives you Lifesteal for 3 basic attacks. It's just, I think it's really the way to go. Cinderace's Unite move is Blazing Bicycle Kick. I think it can be used in two ways. You create a giant ball of flame, you kick it towards your opponent, the ball releases a fierce shockwave that deals damage to the Pokemon in the area of effect, and it also increases your movement speed when it hits. This move is a sure hit, which means you can use it to take out escaping Pokemon super well, but sometimes I think it's even better to be used mid-team fight or early team fight so that you start to become a little crazy auto-attacking and chasing down madmen. Both are good. Now, Cinderace's passive is just so freaking great. So when you use a move, your next basic attack is boosted, and that's what you're seeing happen when his little soccer ball is on fire. On top of that, Cinderace also stacks cinders on targets that it hits. Once that cinder gauge is completed, your opponent takes extra damage. Not only does it do that, but also, when you have less than half HP, your critical hit rate and basic attack speed are increased. So you can turn around fights not going your way very quickly. As I mentioned earlier, your basic attack becomes boosted with every third attack and after using any ability, so you just deal increased damage when you hit with regular attacks all the time. Now on to battle items. As you know, if you've watched some of my previous videos, I think this is up to you, but I prefer the eject button on most all Pokemon. I think X attack is actually decent on Cinderace, but when they say that it raises for a short time, they really mean a short time. Of course, now that we're here at battle items, it's time for the question of the video. Please leave your answer in the comments. Who is your favorite fire type Pokemon? And you can't say Rapidash. Well, sure you can if you like Rapidash. I'm wondering if full heal is going to start becoming more of an option just because of Gengar. I'm not sure, and I'd like to spend some more time with Goal Getter here soon, but I mainly run eject button. On to held items. I think there are a few ways to go with Cinderace, but this is a kit I like a lot. Muscle Band feels like it's specifically built for Cinderace. All your damage is from basic attacks, it increases attack speed and attacks, and it chunks down extra health. It's a must. Scope Lens is a maybe for me. This Pokemon isn't really based around crits, but if it can crit while you're doing all those basics, that would be wonderful. Floatstone is another really good item because you're able to move around in combat much easier, and then once you're out of combat, you can get to your team a lot faster. Not only that, but it increases attack. Some other options for Cinderace are things like a Focus Band. Cinderace excels when it's below 50% HP, and this will help you stay in that zone when your HP is low, so this could be a really strong item. I think Energy Amplifier is another good possibility because once you use your Unite move, your damage is increased by 14%. This could just be using your Unite to start your bigger encounters and have that big damage buff. I also know some people like running attack weight, but I have not spent too much time with the items that you get extra attack or HP or special attack when you score goals. But I do know that some people really swear by using an item like that. Another cool option that incorporates my favorite item, the Buddy Barrier, would be Muscle Band Focus Band Buddy Barrier. This sets it up so when you're getting lower on HP in combat, you pop your Unite move, allowing you to live even longer in that below 50% HP zone and just do a ton of damage. Here's some footage from a Feint Blaze Kick build. I actually think this is probably my favorite Cinderace build right now. Once you take over your lane, a really important thing with Cinderace, with all Pokemon, but Cinderace does it very well, is taking out these neutral big objectives like Dreadnought or Rotom. Combat for Cinderace is simple. You just stay slightly out of range and keep chunking them down. If you feel like it's a good opportunity for a chase, you can use your Blaze Kick and continue to follow them. Also, you can use moves like Feint to avoid that Pikachu's attack there. I didn't. Sorry, I should have. You can see in this moment right here, Garchomp almost gets me, but I do avoid one of his attacks with Feint, just enough to get away. I think people are always surprised with just how much damage you do just by kicking out some basic attacks at him. I love to keep people at just enough range to keep poking them a little bit, especially these melee characters like Garchomp. An early laning tip for Cinderace is if you think you're going to win the encounter, you can dash through them and continue auto-attacking as they walk back towards their goal. You can also score. Just be careful to make sure you're not going to get dived on yourself. Get out of here, Talonflame. The way I'm often playing Cinderace is I'm pretty cautious, pretty conservative, just continuing to pick people off, and then once they get low health, I dash right at them to finish it. You just want them to always be annoyed that you're picking them off the whole time and them to think that you're not going to dive in on them. Then once you finally do, oh man, it's so disappointing for them. Here's an example of using a Unite move when you're in a lot of trouble. I believe I'm running Buddy Barrier in this match, and you just throw it down in the midst of this fight, and then it's time to clean everything up. Got that real low amount of health, but I could still run in here and start picking off this Lucario. Around the Zapdos team fight, your job is to either try to steal it or try to pick off enough people around it so that your team can get it. In this sense, yeah, I didn't do either. You want to be just close enough to the fight where you're able to hit them with your abilities and auto attacks, but not so close, like I just did, that you get melted by their Unite moves and abilities. Spending time with all the combinations right now, I think I'm a Feint Blaze Kick fan. I think that's my favorite type of Cinderace to play. The other builds are good, but if I were to recommend one, that would be my recommendation. Let me know what you think. Do you think that's the best build? Do you think that's the sexiest build? Don't do that. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.